Good morning, Neo Swedenborgians. So, a friend of mine just got a violin in the mail and wants to take up violin. So, I'm going to make an absolute beginner on the violin video. And to start with, I call my method the wrong way. And I call my method the wrong way for a couple of reasons. One is that it all started when somebody walked past me. I was playing violin somewhere, and somebody walked past me and in a snide manner said, "You're doing that wrong." Concerning, I'm not sure what about my exact playing I was wrong, but in their opinion, something big enough to tell me was wrong. And I just sort of embraced it because it's actually my approach is something a lot of people would consider wrong. So I say this right at the get go because um, if you're going to learn anything from me, anything you're learning from me, somebody will probably tell you it's wrong. And one of the major wrong things I do in introducing the violin to people is I suggest you look at all kinds of people. Generally, what happens is you go to a violin teacher to take violin lessons, and they discourage you from looking around at other approaches. And so, what I suggest is that you do look around at other approaches and you don't take me as your only source of information. Many teachers present themselves as the only source of information. And so, when I say don't take me as your only source and look around and see what other people say, that's wrong. That's your introduction to the wrong way. So, by wrong, I'm saying that I am not the uh, the only one to listen to. Listen to other people. I'm not even going to name any names. I mean, I could name 100 names, and I think there's value in every one of them. I mean, 100 names of other people talking about the violin online. So, your introduction to the wrong way. This is the wrong way of learning the violin, and step one in the wrong way is to look around for yourself and see what you think. That's the general wrong way. Now, specifically, there's a first there's lesson number one. Wrong way lesson number one. And this is on my cassette on Bill Tucker's 1980 records. Is I'm going to introduce two little motions you already know. So the way I start is you don't have to have any violin at all. Okay? So you don't have your violin yet. You want to play violin. You're thinking about playing the violin. What can you do? Well, you can do this little thing I invented, which is to say, the saying is, it's time to look at your fingernails, right? Now, everybody, at least everybody my age or older, knows this motion of what time is it? What time is it? Right? And so when you look at the time, which is on a wristwatch, you bring your wrist up towards you. Okay? So this is common knowledge. Everybody knows it. So you don't say what time is it, or what time is it, no, you say what time is it, and you raise your wrist. And so that raising of the wrist and leading with your wrist, that's how you bow, right? And then with this hand is on the violin neck here, and your fingernails are showing towards you, right? So a violinist might look like this, right? That's generally the idea. But in motion, it goes, what time? It's time to look at your fingernails. You go down, it's time, so you go up to look at your fingernails. This is called an up bow, and this is called a down bow. Okay, so it's time to look at your fingernails. So think about this motion of leading with your wrist up and down, and the hand follows. So you want to play the violin, but you don't have any money? Well, this is free. And if for some reason you're seeing an ad with this, well, then you're not on my page. So it's time to look at your fingernails. Breathe in, breathe out. And this is here, because this is where your hand's always up here when you're playing, right? So this benefits your whole posture, because you're holding yourself upright. That's an accomplishment in itself. I'm doing this in a chair. You could do this standing. You could even do it sitting up in bed. The time to look at your fingernails. So that's the very first thing you do before you even do anything with the violin. Next, you get your violin in the mail and it's sitting here. Where do you start? Now I'm going to point out one thing. This thing, that's the thumb leather. So ultimately we are going to put our thumb on the thumb leather. But before we do that, I want to introduce a very, very basic point, which is here on my bow, I have it marked already. This is the balancing point. So I already know where it is. It's right there where I put the tape. But if you can find a little piece of masking tape or just some little marker, take the bow out and you put it on your finger somewhere and you find where it balances. You find the balancing point. See how it's balancing on my finger? Okay. Now I have a tassel on my violin bow, just so you're sticking with the theme. This is wrong. Don't do this, it's wrong. It changes the balance of your bow. Or if you do that, be prepared for people to tell you you're doing it wrong. And they'll tell you why it's wrong. And they'll say it's wrong because it changes the balance of the bow. So anyway, if that wasn't on there, right? So that's it would move up here. What the tassel also does is it moves the balancing point. And if your bow strokes in general start from your balancing point and go that way, well, if I've moved the balancing point a centimeter that way, well, I've just gained a centimeter of usable bow space, haven't I? So all these supposedly wrong things I do have a reason behind them. All right, so now we've gotten somewhere. You now know two things. One is this posture, and what I've done is attach the posture to things you already know, which is you already know what it's like to look at your watch, and you already know what it's like to look at your fingernails, right? Now you might say, I look at my fingernails like this. Well, you can do it both ways, I think. Nobody plays the violin like this. Play the violin like this. If you want to play the violin, look at your fingernails this way. So it's time to look at your fingernails. It's time. So you get that motion. See, it's slow, relax, take your time. Then you get the bow, and you find the balancing point, and you put a little piece of tape there like I did, so you can refer to it, so you know where it is in general. So it's different on every bow. Okay, so you found the balancing point and you marked it. The next is put your thumb right in between there and there on the thumb leather. Step 4 is you just grab the violin like this. We're not going to put it under our chin quite yet. So there might be a shoulder rest, a chin rest, there might be a shoulder rest, there might not be any. Either way, it doesn't matter right now because we're just going to hold the violin and hold the bow, right? Your thumb goes through the little slot on the thumb leather and the rest of the fingers are just there where your hand is. So if your thumb is there, the rest of your hand is going to be there, just butt up, butt out, right? There you go, la la, la la, la la. You are ready for action. Now you can feel this thing, right? So you're holding this in your hand. You're not clamping it under your chin, you're holding it in your hand and you're holding this in your hand. So here you are with your new violin. Thanks. See ya. Bye.